After Reacher Season 3's slam bang premiere, audiences will not have to wait too long for its fourth episode. Adapting Lee Child's Persuader, Reacher Season 3 begins on a strong note by initially tricking viewers into believing that something is seriously off about the titular character. However, as the story progresses, it becomes evident that Jack Reacher's strange behavior and questionable actions are all a part of an elaborate plan. Reacher Season 3's compelling opening episodes paved the way for it to improve on its predecessor, offering a more layered narrative that primarily focuses on the titular character's solitary hunt for justice. Since Reacher Season 3 is not even halfway through, it may be a little too soon to draw affirmative judgments about its quality compared to the series' previous installments. However, with opening story beats in episodes 1, 2, and 3, Reacher Season 3 perfectly sets the stage for episode 4, leaving viewers excited about what will happen next. In the opening scene of Reacher Season 3, Episode 4, Zachary informs McCabe that his men had betrayed him by attempting to kidnap Richard and that everything would have gone their way if Jack hadn't intervened. Jack meets up with Duffy, Guillermo, and Elliot after dropping Zachary off at his residence and excuses himself by saying he is going outside to buy some dinner. After apologizing to Duffy for blowing up a DEA safe house to remove any traces of Duke's death, he immediately begins looking through the photos she and Guillermo took when a big shipment of Bizarre Bazaar arrived in Maine. He knows McCabe right away as Quinn, the man he attempted to kill years ago. Duffy first clams up as he tries to find out more about Jack and Quinn's conflict because it's a delicate subject, but he enters flashback mode when he shows some rage at Jack's unyielding demeanor. Jack was investigating an army specialist named Roland Gorosky on his own back when the 110th didn't even exist. In order to help Jack, his supervisor, General Leon Garber, assigned Sergeant Dominique Cole to the case. Jack wasn't thrilled about having Cole under his wing because he was, and perhaps still is, the lone wolf type, but in a matter of seconds, Jack's perspective changed when Cole showed himself to be an extremely capable detective. She proposed the idea that Gorosky, Jack's suspect, was being forced to commit crimes by someone. She had discovered that Gorosky was operating out of a nearby park, peddling whatever it was he was selling. In order to bond over hunting, their relationship with their respective fathers, and other topics, Jack and Cole headed out for a stakeout. Gorosky gave them the slip, and the exchange was conducted directly in front of them, even though it ended up being a very nice moment. Jack had a suspicion that Gorosky would crack under duress, even if he had nothing to blame. In order to get Cole to question him about selling state secrets, he placed him in an interrogation chamber. Gorosky eventually disclosed that Quinn had abducted his 4-year-old daughter and had him comply with his demands. A side note, although it might have appeared like Jack was instructing Cole on how to question Gorosky using an earpiece or whatever in this scenario, he wasn't. Cole was so skilled at her job that she was behaving just like Jack would have in her role, and Jack was thinking to himself about what he anticipated her to do. As a lieutenant in himself, Gorosky cautioned Cole that Quinn was so entrenched in the system that he would take action to put Cole and Reacher on the defensive if he even had a hint of what they were up to. Cole and Reacher had to walk lightly as a result. They focused on Safwan Qasim, a Syrian military man who was reportedly purchasing the intelligence that Quinn was providing with assistance from Private Anthony Frasconi, who harbored feelings for Cole. Reacher, Frasconi, and Cole apprehended Qasim and hauled him away for interrogation following a heated struggle with his men. They only needed to determine whether the items Quinn was selling to Qasim were genuine once they had all the required documentation ready. Once Jack acquired the documentation Quinn had given him, he threw Qasim out of the country with a severe warning. Frasconi found Quinn's home or his makeshift headquarters, and she and Cole worked together to apprehend him as soon as Cole verified that Quinn was selling legitimate military intelligence. Regretfully, something went wrong. Jack anticipated that Frasconi's affections for Cole would force him to forfeit the strategic edge he had over his adversaries, so he cautioned him from doing so during an active crime scene. But Frasconi perished attempting to protect Cole. Furthermore, it was clear that Quinn had kidnapped Cole in order to coerce her into discussing the dirt she had on him. Knowing that Quinn would require a location far from human civilization in order to torture Cole, Jack and Garber collaborated to find a remote home that Quinn owned. Rather than waiting for help, Jack grabbed Quinn, brought him to a cliff close to his villa, and shot him in the head, sending him plummeting into the river. Quinn was shot by Jack with Quinn's gun, which reportedly fired tiny caliber rounds. It simply lodged in his skull, causing minor memory loss without harming the inside of his head. Nevertheless, Jack was unable to save Cole. It was clear that Quinn had tormented her for a long time and that she had bullied to death despite the show's attempts to hide what he had actually done to her. The scenario was so gut-wrenching that Jack, who was known for never breaking, was appalled. In any case, Jack returns to the Beck home at the conclusion of Reacher Season 3, Episode 4, while Duffy is still struggling with her complex feelings of regret and guilt. Jack finds out that Zachary's 50th birthday is approaching and that politicians and bureaucrats will be there because they adore Zachary's wealth, and he enjoys the sense of significance they give him while chatting with Agnes, the chef, and Annette, the maid. Since Jack is Zachary's number 2, Annette brings him some new clothes the next day because he can't go around in clothes that haven't been washed in months. Jack sets out to teach Richard some boxing lessons that also serve as life lessons after putting on the new set, which is an exact replica of his old set. Because the investigation into the main warehouse of Bazaar Bazaar ended in a dead end, Guillermo and Duffy use Angel Doll's laptop to get to a warehouse in the midst of all of this to see if they can find anything damning there. Unbeknownst to them, Quinn is tracking Angel Doll's laptop and has dispatched his men to grab it because it has all of the shipment information and to murder the individuals who currently possess it. Beck and Quinn believe they are Angel Doll's associates. Zachary instructs Jack to go to Quinn's men's destination to ensure that those involved in the scheme with Angel Doll, Sklar, and Ballinger face consequences for kidnapping Richard. Jack rushes out to save Guillermo and Duffy from accessing Angel Doll's laptop after realizing it. However, there are two problems here. First of all, Guillermo and Duffy are in a warehouse that is already occupied by Quinn's men. Second, Jack doesn't know where Duffy and Guillermo are because he can't get through to her phone. Guillermo's whereabouts or anything similar cannot be tracked by Jack's phone due to its lack of sophistication. Elliot, who is currently occupied with watching Beck's driver, is the only one capable of doing it. It probably won't be enough even if Jack is able to persuade Elliot to find Duffy and alert her to the dangers she and Guillermo have entered.